All right, welcome everybody to Team Building Tuesday. My name is Don Martin, Director, $1 Million Club member with MarketAmericanShop.com. And tonight we have the honor and privilege to have her and her husband are master coordinators with MarketAmericanShop.com. And her name is Brittany Friday. I still want to call her by her name. I've known her for so long, but by her maiden name, but she is now Brittany Friday. And I'm excited for her to share with you guys about building your business through your story, the importance of sharing your story and building your business. And guys, I do want to tell you that this applies to all business, not just ours. And I'm excited because this will be one of, if not the most important concepts that you can learn when it comes down to promoting your business and self-promoting your business, because people remember stories and they remember experiences more than they remember science and the things like that. So I'm going to turn it over to Brittany. Brittany, thanks for being on. And I'm excited for this, guys. Take notes. And by the way, pop text to the rest of your team if they're not on here, because this is going to be good. I know it. And I can't wait for everybody to hear from Brittany. So Brittany, over to you, sister.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So what was that? You keep talking to me and I don't know what you're saying.
Aren't you there?
Yes.
Hi, Mom
here.
and Dad. I was whispering your parents are on.
Like, what are you saying? I don't know. You're putting me under the spot. Gosh. Okay. So, hi, everyone. My name is Brittany, and it's actually been such a long time since I've talked to people. I think I got married and then I went under a rock somewhere, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But today I wanted to definitely talk to you about storytelling because it is my favorite thing to do all the time. My parents are on here. I also have one of my closest friends from college, Viral, on here. So Viral, shout out. And yeah, everyone's like, I don't blame you after getting married. So I wanted to talk about storytelling with you guys because it is the way that I was able to, on my own, be able to build my business up to executive coordinator. And I'll explain a little bit more, but I actually had a business that was separate from Nick for a while, since 2015. And I then got married and now it's merged. So it kind of happens through osmosis, I guess. Is that what it is? I don't know.
It's close
cool.
enough. We'll
close
go
enough.
with it.
That's cool.
Scientific enough.
So Nick is kind of here to help be my hype man or something. So you're here.
Is this a rap video?
Yeah, you're here to help me out as I talk. But I don't know about you guys. First of all, when you're storytelling, most of the time you do not have visuals. But for the sake of today, since we're all on Zoom, how many of you are visual learners? Okay, great. All right. Is it okay if I share some slides with you to help a little bit? Okay, cool.
Sure.
So I'm going to share. And
Do you need to share sound?
No sound. There's no sound that I have to share. But let me know if you can see my screen. And I will actually pull up the chat at the same time. You guys have it? Okay, great. And if you want to talk with me, please feel free to just keep chatting. I'm going to have Nick man the chat while I man this thing here. Let me get this started and tell you a little bit more about storytelling. So first thing that you should know about me and why I really wanted to talk about this subject is because I actually went to school to be a journalist. So that is what I really wanted to do. I love stories a whole lot. I think I got it from my family, from my parents. Both my parents have been in sales my whole life. So I picked up a lot about storytelling from both of them. And I wanted to learn how to be a journalist because I wanted to help people. I'll tell you a little bit more about that story very soon. But I want to first take you through a little bit of a journey here and tell you what the agenda is today. I don't have a whole lot of time at all, so I'm trying to be very respectful of that, but I could talk about this for hours and hours. So if you still have questions, please hit me up afterwards. But first, I want to tell you a little bit more about why you would want to use storytelling. I also would love to give you a couple tools to work with, some phrases that you can just lean on all the time. It never gets old with these phrases, so you can just use them as much as you'd like to. And then the last thing is when would you use those phrases? I want to share when you would use them and in what scenarios, and share a few stories of that I have for myself. So you guys ready for story time, guys? Here we go. Woohoo. So first, I want to give you a disclaimer. This is a disclaimer that I would use. You're going to hear a lot about my varied past, but I did work for Apple for a bit of time, like almost 7 years. I worked at my local Apple store. I sold phones and other iPhone, like fun stuff, and I taught people how to use them. And every time I started my classes, I would tell them, hey guys, one thing that you should walk away with today, the only thing you'll remember is that Brittany was great, but what did she say again? Because that's what happens every single time. So I would usually tell people to come back and listen to me. In this case, if this is being recorded, then you can watch the recording. Again, though, most people only retain maybe 10%, and that's amazing, of the information that you shared with them. The reason why is because we're two-brained people, I guess you could say. We have a left brain and a right brain. And our left brain, it likes words and it can speak in language, but the right brain, if the right brain is not engaged, it won't retain anything. The right brain is all about emotions and creativity, and it doesn't speak English at all. So you have to somehow engage both sides. When you tell a story, you're doing that because there's always emotion involved in storytelling. And so when somebody tells a story, you can gain as much as you can retain as much as 70% of the information that somebody uses. I guess I'll give you an example, for instance. Who's the best storyteller of all time? I mean, we just celebrated his death day, or resurrection, I should say. His resurrection. Jesus. Be a little bit more like Jesus, guys. I'm going to tell you, I mean, not everyone is a Christian. I understand that. That's fine. But you do have to, if you're going to pick up anything from this guy, our good buddy Jesus, he most of the time, maybe like I would say 95% of the time, only spoken stories. The reason why was because the time when he was actually super, super, super direct with people and said that he was the son of God, he died. So I'm just going to put it out there, like talking in stories is actually a very safe thing to do. He also was very intentional about what he did, though, with telling his stories, because he was very direct with the people who were actually interested in what he had to say. He would speak in stories and keep speaking in stories all the time until somebody asked a question about what his stories were about. And then he could talk a little bit more directly. And that's what you're going to actually do with the business all day long. I'm going to tell you this. I found when I first started the business, I would just walk up to people and be like, I have an opportunity for you. You should join my business. I don't really know how well that resonates to you guys, but or I'd be like, OPC, you should have it. It'll save your life, right? Like, that's not really a sale. People don't really like that. They don't like being told what to do, but they definitely love to hear how it worked for somebody. And so what stories do is they help you jump over hurdles. They help you answer 4 key questions that usually stop people from wanting to move forward with you in the beginning. I don't know if you like, just think back to your experience that you've had with the business, if you've been with our business, or if you've been in sales or anything like that. Just think back to any time that you were trying to sell someone something and they were like, wait, are you credible? Like, who are you? I don't know who you are, right? That's the first question. Second one that usually people always ask is, what's in it for me? Why would I be interested in this item that you're trying to sell me here? The third reason is, or a question that they'll ask is, well, why you? Why this brand? Why should I go with this? And the last thing is, how do I use this? These are like the 4 biggest obstacles that I personally run with. And if you have more obstacles, please throw them in the chat, more questions or things that you see in the business. But these are the 4 biggest ones that I get. And I use a story almost every single time to answer all 4 questions. That's how I get around it. Then this way, if I can get through the story first and they're still interested, I know that I'm going to have a good time. That's just me. Otherwise, if they're still having troubles with those questions, even after the story, I know that it's probably not time to continue and move forward. So I just use that as a little bit of a litmus test. Does anyone have any questions? You want to throw them in the chat if you have any questions before I move on to giving you some tools at all?
We'll probably do some
No,
questions
we'll do
afterwards,
questions
too.
after.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let me give you some tools to use, some phrases that I found were very, very helpful. And I'm also going to give you some resources on where to find these phrases as well. I'm going to start with the one that I've been using a lot. I don't know if you've been picking it up from me as I've been talking, but feel, felt, found is probably the oldest phrase in the sales handbook ever. It is just well used, and it just is still very, very helpful. The thing is that people don't care how much you know, they really care more about how much you care about them. So you want to show empathy at the highest level if you can, and feel, felt, found really helps. I actually learned it, by the way, from this book here. This is a very hard book to come by Frank Kiefer. It's one of his favorite, he has a couple of books, but it's one of his favorite phrases of all times. He has an audio out there called Overcoming Objections, and he uses that phrase a lot. The way it works, yes, Frank, right? He's one of the pioneers of the business. Frank Kiefer, he has an incredible story, but he was saying before that when he started to run into some obstacles, or if he would hear somebody start having doubt or complaints, he would generally say, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but I found ... Usually you're going to fill in your own personal story with the feel, felt, found phrase, like, I know how you feel. I also have this, or I dealt with this, but when I found OPC, it changed my life, right? You're going to use something like that. Personally, I like using this phrase all the time when I'm in a one-on-one setting with somebody. Here's another really good phrase that I learned from going to Pam Torgeson's local seminar. Guys, this is why you go to seminars. You learn these things, because I wasn't good when I started, but this one was really good. I was, I did, I am. So this is the best phrase that I found I could use when I'm trying to give an elevator pitch or a 2-minute commercial. Now, I have to let you know, I love storytelling. I love talking to one-on-one with somebody, but when I'm in a large group of people, I can get a little intimidated because I do have some stage fright that I still have to work over, even though I'm a piano teacher too. And so what I love about this phrase is that it's very quick. And especially when you are doing a retail event with a lot of business partners and everyone has a testimony about how wonderful a certain product is, this is very quick because everyone can say all together, like they can say, I was blank ... I did do this, and now I am this way. So it's like, I was dealing with some weight issues, I did TLS, and now I've been able to keep the weight off. You understand how that works. It's very, very quick, very beautiful. It's her favorite phrase, and it makes people move very quickly. When I attended Colton Whitehead's local seminar, which was like, oh, absolutely amazing, his favorite phrase to use is something that you have to be very careful. I have to say, I'm going to start with this. Be very careful when using this. You have to really pay attention to your tone of voice when you're using this phrase, because I tried it one time when I was a little annoyed with somebody and it definitely turned them off. So you want to use this phrase when you're with somebody that you have good rapport with. And this one is, were you looking for a solution, or were you just venting?
I ask her this all the time, y'all. I got punched in the throat one time. No, I'm kidding.
No, but it is actually very useful because it makes me stop. It makes everyone stop, especially if somebody is complaining for a long time. Like they're like, oh, and my back hurts. Oh, and my toe hurts. Oh, and this hurts. Oh, no, and this. Like if they keep going on and on and on, then you can just honestly ask them, were you just looking for a solution, or are you just venting? And if they're looking for a solution, then go on ahead and tell your story. Go, I feel, do the feel, felt, found, do, that I did, story, Pam Torgerson's way. Go on. But if they're just venting, then you immediately know. Like, I actually went to a plan showing. Somebody agreed to sit through a plan showing. The whole time they were complaining. And then I asked, are you looking for a solution or were you just venting? She's like, I'm not looking for a business. I'm just venting. And I just packed up my bag and left. That was it. Because she just wanted to vent and it was a waste of my time. So, I'm just letting you know, these are really good questions to ask, especially when you are moving, trying to help people, because that's your purpose here in this business, is to help people. The last really good phrase I actually picked up by hanging out with Ben Ginder quite a bit, because Ben lives in my area and he shows up at all my business presentations, or all our business presentations. And I noticed that he has this phrase that he hangs on to a lot. Ben doesn't talk a lot, like at all. When you get him one-on-one, he'll talk a little bit more, but a lot he says, like, I know someone, all the time. Like, and he doesn't even really talk about, like, he'll talk about his own experience, but he always talks about other people's experiences every single time. And I love this one because when I started with the business, I had like zero credibility, none. I actually had been through other businesses before, other companies before, and I failed at those. And I also look like I'm a baby most of the time. I have a very young face. And sometimes a squeaky voice, and I'm just a little too nice.
You look like a Power Ranger.
I look like a Power Ranger. I thought a Powerpuff Girl or something, like an anime character or something like that. Hey guys. So because of that, I found that using I know someone all the time really helped. And it also really helped to lead into sharing power profiles. So if I ran into a nurse, for instance, and they were, they wanted to get some hours back in their day, I'm like, I know someone, I have their power profile, and I send it to them. And I'm like, do you want to meet them? And they'd be like, yeah, sure. And I just get them to convention because that's where they're at.
And Ben is the number 3 income earner, but he still says, I know someone.
He always says, I know someone. He doesn't even sell on his own. So that's a really fun thing. So let's talk about some scenarios on how to share your story. And I want to give you some examples as well, and what goes on in my brain when I'm trying to share my story. There's a phrase before that our company loves to use where we say that we love to connect people to product and product to people. I like to say we like to connect people to stories and stories to people, because I don't actually know if my product will work for them. I actually don't know if our business will work for them. And I don't know a lot of things, but I do know a story. And I'm pretty confident that I can reshare that story either by sending them the video, getting them to an event where that person is there, or just trying to retell the story myself. So I take my names list. Everyone, the first thing that we're going to tell everyone to do in the business is to write up a list of about 100 to 300 names, right? And generally, when I first started the business, I thought it was everyone who would be interested in the business, but that's wrong. You just need a list of lots and lots and lots of people. And what you're going to do with that list is you're going to look at it and say, well, this person, you look at each person and you're just like, I think about them. And I'm like, this person would benefit from a product. This person's entrepreneurial. This one has a lot of referrals. This one is good at just sitting on the sidelines, right? Like, and watching people. That's the people watchers. I'm like, and I don't know. And I actually have to meet them to figure out which bucket they're going to fall into. And the reason why I put them in buckets like this is because from there, I match stories with them and I give them one of 4 story buckets, like my why. Sometimes my why is the most important thing that they need to know, because they want to know why I would be interested in something like this. And I'll share a little bit more about my why and why I was interested in that. Sometimes they are interested in the products that I'm looking for, and they need a review, and I can give them a personal review for myself, where I can give someone else's review. Other times they're looking for personal success stories, like personal development success stories. And so I can either tell them my own personal success, or I can share someone else's personal success. And lastly, the super entrepreneurial people are really looking for business success. Like they're trying to see how well Market America itself has been doing. And so I keep those stories around as well. But let me show you some incredible pictures here. Jump right into this. Yeah. All right, guys, story time. Here we go. Right. So talking about breaking down my why and why someone would be interested in working with me. Right. First of all, I wasn't looking for this business, but I met this business through Nick, and I met Nick through my dad. Yes, this is an arranged marriage, guys. So Nick actually shared the business with, he was actually prospecting my sister who loves makeup, and then somehow met my dad, and somehow we got here.
I told Rachel she needed to bring mom or dad along to evaluate because we were talking business. So again, third party and getting to the right people and being respectful is the biggest thing. So I was trying to show being respectful that, hey, please bring mom or dad when we meet. And then
when he met me, he was just looking for a girlfriend.
Well, wait, I wasn't.
Yes.
I was not.
This is my story. Let me tell.
Oh, wait, when I met you, no,
Yes.
I wasn't. I was looking for piano
Let me
lessons.
tell my story.
Oh
Okay,
my
guys.
God.
Okay, right. So anyway, when he met me, he wasn't looking to get me into the business. I should put it that way. However, when we talked, he did ask me, when we first started dating, he asked me what my goals and dreams were. And I shared a story about how when I was a teenager, all I ever wanted to do was to learn about the Middle East and to travel over there and write about the people. I wanted to write some novels. And I did. When I was in my junior year of college, I went over to the Middle East. I spent 4 months there. I spoke Arabic, like I lived with the people, really did. I got to visit Petra, and I got to visit the desert where all the Israelites got to walk around for 40 years in. And I could see why they did. So while I was there in the desert anyway, I had the opportunity to see the stars with zero light pollution. And I don't know if anyone has ever had that opportunity to see the stars with zero light pollution, but it was the most magical experience I had ever had. I just laid back on a rock and cried. And I saw so many shooting stars that night. I didn't know that they were a common occurrence, but I made several wishes that night. One of which was to bring my family out to the rock that I was at, and for them to see the stars with zero light pollution, and to show my future family what that really looks like. Another reason as well was because I wanted to leave a legacy for my family, and just keep them, give them something that would continue to pay them for the rest of their life, so they wouldn't ever have to worry about anything. So I made that wish, and then I met Nick.
Was I one of the wishes?
You were
You better
eventually.
say yes.
Eventually. And so I will tell a little bit more about this story later on, but that was one of my whys. And when I met Nick in the business, it kind of clicked for me that this was when he mentioned that it was a willable asset that could go up to 3 generations. And on top of that, he mentioned that he worked in several different sectors, not just makeup like I did. I was like, oh snap, the tax write-offs are amazing. That was me. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
She married me for tax write-offs.
I did. I really did. I wanted that and his AARP discount.
That's just
whenever that
up.
happens.
Oh my God. But
that's just one why. And that was my 2-minute commercial for a second. It's maybe a little more than 2 minutes, but you heard a little bit more about my why. A second story that I might tell, and I do tell all the time, is my good buddy Viral. I asked him to be on here to monitor me. He's with the Toastmasters, and he's monitoring my count right now and my talking. But he's also a customer of mine, and he left an amazing review on our shop.com website. So whenever I have somebody who runs into low energy, I usually tell them, hey, I know someone. That's what I usually do. I'm like, I know someone, here's his review, and it's right here. And they can read it and they can see exactly what vitamin B, our activated vitamin B does for vegetarians. So if you have any vegetarians that you know, put them on your list because Viral knows exactly what it does for them. Here's another reason for what I'll share, or another thing. For me personally, when I run into somebody that has hormonal imbalances or has polycystic ovarian syndrome, I will use feel, felt, found most of the time. But I actually won't use I know how you feel. And the reason why I won't use that in some scenarios is because that can be a bit of a trigger. So instead, I just tell them, hey, I've dealt with polycystic ovarian syndrome. I just do it that way. In fact, let me show you what I've gone through, and I just show them my pictures. That's just what I do most of the time. I'm like, I dealt with very deep cystic acne. I had brain fog. I had irregular periods for most of my adult life. But then I met Vina. And I met Dr. Terry, and I also have Nick to keep me in check, right? And they took me through TLS. And when I used TLS's system to help me with my diet and my health and other things, I found that my face cleared up and my periods came back and I have a much clearer mind. It saved my life. You don't know how many times I was driving with brain fog. That's a very dangerous thing. So that was what I experienced, and I highly recommend TLS to anyone that I come to, and talk to. Yeah. Now, when I have people that come to me and they're like, I'm lonely, because you get a lot of those people. I'm lonely. I have a business that makes a lot of friends, and this is
telling people join the business so they can meet their spouse.
Yes, you can meet your spouse, you can meet your friends, you can meet
I did.
Don did.
It works, guys. It really does. But guys, just to let you know, I'm a natural introvert. I really am. I like to be by myself most of the time. But what this business has done for me is it's allowed me to meet a lot of new people. I have all these new stories now that I've collected. And I don't know if you knew, but I used to be a homeschool kid, so I didn't have a whole lot of friends. Now I've got so many friends, I can't keep up. So it's a pretty fun business. I just have to say it's super fun. But the last thing I'll say is this: when it comes to power profiles, it's right now your responsibility to learn about as many people in the business as you can. And one of the ways that you can learn about people is by going to the local seminars, going to the conventions, and actually meeting the people. So I have my 3 tickets right here. It's very important. This was we have our tickets. I'm sorry, I have to switch from I to we. It takes a while. But I want to say this today. We lost a very, very special person in our business. And she actually, her power profile changed the trajectory of my business personally. I was there in person. This was like looking at the stars in Wadi Rum in Jordan. And when I was there in person, I can't tell you the amount of emotions that were running through me listening to her story. I saw live when she brought up like 50 people or more that she personally touched just by telling them that they have to come to convention and increase their income. I can tell you personally, because I've been going to a convention for so long, I've not only increased my income here in the business, but I've more than tripled my income in my regular day jobs. So there's no downside to this. But if I highly recommend, and I'll put it in the chat here, you should listen to her power profile. Stacy Tung was a person who was just like me. That's why it touched me so much. She's a teacher and I'm a piano teacher. And she didn't think that there was a lot that could go on for her. She's from Taiwan. And somehow she was able to change the lives of well over thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So right now, Taiwan is mourning for her, and the Flushing team is mourning for her, but we are too. And that's what the business will do. It great, it makes your family worldwide. It's really, really crazy. And so that's all I have to share about storytelling. I don't know if anyone has questions, and I know I'm well over my time, but I hope I was able to at least leave you with a few nuggets. And like I said, I'll leave the link for you. Does anyone have any additional questions for me?
I just want to say you were great.
Thanks.
I thought you were pretty. Why'd you say that so monotone?
Thanks.
No, I just posted out to the whole group. I'm like, listen, if you guys aren't on this, it's time to wake up, because this was so powerful, Britt. And it's something that
It was amazing, Brittany. Thank you.
everybody needs to learn this and implement. And this is being recorded for sure, and we're going to make this available in the interactive YouTube video stream, because people need this. And this was awesome. So guys, the biggest takeaway for me, and we can open up anybody else, is take the time to get your story down smoothly, right? This doesn't mean make up things. This doesn't mean authenticity is everything. Be honest, be sincere, but figure out a way within a 1 to 3 minute period, that you could tell your entire story of your experience with a product, and the 1 to 3 minute story of your experience where I she said, I am, right? You need, in your story, just get that down, because the story is what people will remember. They're not going to remember anything else. And the story is what's going to make them retain. And I love those statistics, Britt, because I've never seen them before. So thank you for that. So good. And, guys, your job is to bring 1 to 2 new people on every Tuesday night with you that are in your team, and make this a habit, because I'm telling you, the people that are on here tonight, this is golden, Brittany. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and Viral did ask a good question here. That was a really good question that he asked. What do I do if I catch myself rambling when I'm storytelling to a client? That happens to me all the time. So I joke about it. I'm like, oh, look at me rambling. That's what I do every time. I'm like, oh, I'm rambling, but I know and I just tell them, I'm like, I know I'm just taking up too much of your time, but you should check it out. Or I tell them, like Nick will say all the time, please excuse my excitement.
Right. I tell people I ramble when I'm having fun, so they know that, hey, at least he's being genuine, and we're having some sincere fun together.
Mm-hmm. So poke fun at yourself. It's okay. It makes people laugh.
Brittany, I have to tell you, that's one of the finest presentations and discussions I've ever heard. Seriously. And I've heard a few. You brought things to light that people just don't think of all the time. And sometimes we can get so wrapped up in the process of the business, we forget about the fact it's the people that make it work. And it was excellent. I've got 3 pages of notes here, and you really caused me to step back and take another look. I mean, the comment that you made about the fact that there's so many things to learn in this business that help every other business, that is such a true statement, because it just is. They're rock solid business principles here. It's not something that somebody threw together for the sake of selling a product. It's all about people, and it's people that make the world go round. So great job tonight.
I can tell you, when I moved from Apple and started working for ADP, they put me in the hardest position that they have. So they put me in the nationals division to sell to the government. And I asked them why they chose me for that position. And they said in my interview, it was so funny. In my phone interview, they were like, sell us something. That was the interview. They're like, just sell us something. So I said, I only have a minute. The reason for why I'm calling is I just went off the Market America script. I was like, the reason for why I'm calling is, and I just would like to set up an appointment, right? Like I just did it very just like that. And they're like, you're hired. We'll put you in the hardest one. And so it works. And it definitely, like I said, that tripled my income just doing that. So you can, even, I say this because I've had a lot of partners come and go in the business, but I can honestly say that every person that we've touched with the business has benefited in some way, either from the products or from even increasing their own income in their other job. Like they got a promotion and that's why they left, right? Or, you know, and it was just all good and we're still friends. There's no negatives really, because we keep increasing our mind in what we're doing. So.
You know, if I can add one more thing here, if we take what you said tonight, and we combine it with our discussions we've had recently on the value of networking, they really go together. Because once we take a moment to ask somebody some open-ended questions, the stories can flow because you can answer their question. It's awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
What I'd encourage too would be everybody, you know, really, if you don't have your story down to where if somebody says, hey, can you tell everybody why you decided to partner with this company? Or Don, can you tell everybody about your experience with OPC and your allergies and cholesterol? If you don't have that down, right, in a 1 to 2 minute segment, work on that this week. That would be my biggest and highest recommendation for you. Get your story down. So it just rolls off your tongue naturally, and you don't, you know, if you get it down, you won't catch yourself rambling because you just have it smooth and concise and you know, going forward. Work on that and then share it with other people. I would recommend, you know, find somebody, 1 or 2 people on here tonight and say, hey, let's practice our stories on each other in the next week or 2. You know, give yourself a deadline, focus on it, because when you get your story down, both from a product perspective and a business perspective, you know, I was broke. You know, I was broke, right? You get like, that's the same story. Hey, listen, I was broke and desperate and didn't love what I was doing. You know, I found this and now I am free. You know what I mean? Like, you know, understanding the story, whatever. Focus on that, guys, and get it down. Without that, it's, well, I would say 95% more difficult to build a business if you don't have a story down that people can relate to and remember. You know, it's the most important thing you can have is your story more than anything else. You know, and everybody has one, right? I mean, Eric Brown, like for an example, he's got a very, very successful construction company, very successful construction company. You know, people want to know, Eric, why you have a multi-million-dollar company? Like, why are you a part of this company? You know, and he'll have a story. Well, I was here. This is what I had. But what I found in this was this. So I love this because this is the impact that it makes, not only in my life and others, or whatever it is. People will remember that, like, wow, this is attractive to all walks of life, you know? So everybody has a story, and other people, you know, and people will remember that. So Britt, that was awesome, guys. Share this recording with people. Anybody has any other questions or comments or anything you want to share with Brittany and Cowboy Nick?
Brittany, I really enjoyed your presentation. I